Welcome back to Apollo Justice. Let's just continue with this trial. Order, order, order. Mr. Bushell, can you explain this to the court? Oh, my, how could I forget? So this happens to the best of us. Reporter gets old, forgets lots, end quote. I'm still waiting for resignation, Mr. Bushell. That's the thing, see, after he put his letter in the envelope, Mr. Missum sat searching that desk drawer for something. His desk drawer? Yes, a stamp, a so-called postage stamp, end quote. A stamp, whatever for. But tomorrow's letter, what else? And then, well, yes, I think I saw him put that letter in the box. Yes, it was a yellow envelope. And he put it in that box. Well, apparently, this yellow letter has nothing to do with the case. Oh, how I wish it did. Let's think if there was a suicide note. What a story. Star writes suicide note in front of reporter. False. End quote. As I was saying, there's nothing to do with the case. That's sad. Yes, Your Honor. Makes me wonder about the contents of that red envelope. There it is. And the other one. $100,000 is quite a deal of money. This was from 7 years ago, yeah? So am I finished? Here, I mean, am I finished here? I was thinking of, going home to start writing. I hate to state what should be pretty obvious to everyone, but when you catch the scent of a story, you make that a rather unique face. Ah, come on! Attorney has an active imagination. Little else. End quote. I noticed something, and my eyes aren't what they used to be. I'm starting to understand what all this perceiving stuff is about. Judge's active imagination. End quote. Please continue your testimony. Tell us about the center of the story. Hey, I'm the one asking the questions here. Usually. Center of a story. Actually, it took a bit of work to get a thumbs up on the interview. Porter Lever's story gets his interview. End quote. The story concerned a certain case from 7 years ago. The whatever probably had something to do with it. Say what you will, but Drew's talent was out compare. So you're starting to go to a press with this story. That's how you got your interview. Blackmail. Well, yes. I mean, no. I'm exactly black. I mean, I'm not... something wrong, Mr. Bushell. Look. This is my story. My tidbit. Journalist's info is livelihood. End quote. I see. Leave me chatting away in here. What's going on out there? What if some Wally Wordsworth or Sally Scooper gets wind of my story? They could be going to the press while I'm going to waste. Court feels your pain, Mr. Bushell. Mr. Justice, let's pick up the pace. Certain case 7 years ago. Wait, 7 years ago? Again? Okay. Ooh, interesting. We can perceive. For what? I don't know. Maybe instead of perceiving off the bat, I'm gonna just press a little bit. The victim submitted adversion to reporters. Boy, I guess, not even my considerable charms did much for him. Look at my thumbs up, that is. Maybe you can elaborate on that bit for us. Exactly what sort of story was this? Oh, a little one, like I said. Nothing more, nothing less. Nothing in between. End quote. But it's just leading up with this particular story. But didn't actually threaten or control or anything, honest. So his suggestion was not to get an interview. This person must have really wanted to keep it under wraps. Tell me about it. Certain case 7 years ago. Tell us, what case? Let me state one thing, Mr. Attorney. You can quote me on this. I can't talk about that case. Why not? It's about journalistic pride and staunchness and credibility and connections. Journalist reveals sources only over his dead body. End quote. So what will it be? Gonna strangle me? Dead men don't tell tales, Mr. Attorney. He sounds pretty determined not to talk. The chances of breaking his will aren't looking good. On the one hand, we have your story, on the other hand, this letter. It makes you think that you are related. We're just getting anything as possible. Clear reporter's intuition. End quote. Hey, I say a lot of things. You're gonna pick all of them apart? Be my guest. All of them? No, just the incredibly suspicious ones. I see. Anything else to add about Mr. Missam? It's so amazing with Mr. Missam's talent. Huh? Ooh, wee boy, hey, he's a star. A man, a star. Boba's bush is like a great angling river across the canvas. Artist paints light up studio like the sun. End quote. This guy's full of wacky gestures, but that one just now is wackier than usual. Kinda nervous to me, Apollo. Definitely. I'm sensing something different than before here. It's gonna tend to bring out you-know-what. This one left a bad taste in my mouth. Well, that makes sense. Something jumps out ridiculous. What about the story he's talking about is... It must have been good to get an interview with the famous recluse like that. Big Apollo enough to drag you Miss him out of hiding. I wonder. There's something to do with Mr. Missam's art. Could be. What's that other hand doing? I can't see it. Hey, what? Is he a sweaty boy? Is that what I just saw? Is he a sweaty boy? Is that what that was? That shadow that just appeared? Oh yeah, I guess so. Interesting. Gotcha! Why are you sweaty? Sweat much, Mr. Bushel? Yeah, well... Man can't help his glands, you know. It's more than that. When Mr. Missam's talent was mentioned, he suddenly began to sweat buckets. You're hiding something about his talent. What? That's ridiculous. Evidence time. Let's show Mr. Missam's true talent lay. So happens I have evidence showing the talent you mentioned in that letter. The hidden painting? Perhaps? This painting was found in Mr. Missam's studio. There are two problems with this painting. The first, it wasn't painted by Mr. Misham. The second, there was another painting in the studio, which was exactly like this one, except it was only half done. We have a letter discussing a payment of $100,000, which is just a certain business operation. Business of making forgeries. That is all, Your Honor. Everyone, please, everyone. We keep this private, please. This is my story, my scoop. Forgery, that's a serious crime. Jameson is known as an artist these days, but there were rumors he dabbled in another kind of art until a few years back. Another art meaning forgery. Jameson was talented, alright. Talented at making precise, detailed fakes. A fact that certain criminal elements were quick to discover. Criminal elements? What? You can't seriously be talking about... Exactly. Talking about forging evidence. The rumor started circulating 7 years ago. 7 years ago? So we're going to understand that this letter... This payment of $100,000 was for... Exactly. Forged evidence that's tidy profit. End quote. Order, order, order. It's like our victim was living a double life. Ah, this is my chance. So the victim had ties to the criminal world, right? He could have had plenty of interviews we know nothing about. This is my first time hearing of this criminal world. We certainly found no criminal connections when we conducted an investigation. How do you explain all this money? You have to admit there's a possibility of some illegal activity here. But there is no proof tying this letter to our case. Our case was and remains civil from the beginning. Only a defendant could have poisoned that mug that night. And you, of course. Hey, the one thing I poison is my pen when I'm writing reviews. Mr. Bushel, your testimony at this point has been quite unreliable. Doesn't speak well of your reporting acumen. What are you saying? My journalism is rock solid. Journalism so solid you could say 9/11 on it. End quote. In any case, let's hear a summarized recap of your testimony. We can ascertain the situation in that studio from the recap. The trial is over. Father, what's he talking about? Our examination showed Mr. Bushel didn't have a reason or means to poison him. As long as there were no other suspects, and the killer had to be Vera, that's what. I suppose here's our last chance. Mr. Bushel, your testimony, please. It doesn't look good. The interview recap. The only person that's to do was the defendant. It was Vera who poured the coffee. She admitted it must herself. The only thing that touched Drew's lips during the interview was that mug. Nothing left of that studio after he died. Nothing. Clearly, the only one could have poisoned him with his daughter. Nice testimony. Clear, succinct, and without room for doubt. Oh, sucks. You really think so? Leave this clarified the situation that night. Very well, Mr. Justice. You may begin your test and I'll cross-examination. Right. I still have one trump card left to play. I won't let this trial end until I use it. Interview, a recap. Yes, the coffee, yes. Was it, though? You're sure about that? Well, to be really precise, I was busy gobbling candies the whole time. One of those candies might have been poisoned. Yet, at the time of the autopsy, no fresh fragments of mint filled the room. And no mint residue was found. This is a long shot, anyway. Don't tell me you're still trying to prove this. I think the victim ate, drank, or otherwise ingested something other than coffee. Well, Mr. Justice, you have some proof. Possibility is there, I can feel it. Just maybe not prove it. Not yet. Possibility is going to cut it. Not now. This person ingested that poison via root other than that coffee. Not yet. It can't be proven. It will have a little forehead is growing up. Pity, we like the rest youthful forehead best. Another hole in this case needs plugging before I can prove anything. First things first, I better uncover a weak spot before I try to strike again. On with extermination. Nothing left the studio. Not one thing, you're sure? Yep, sure as could be. Well, with one exception. What exception? What? Journalist Express Special does interview, leaves the studio. End quote. Come on! It's a joke! Get it? Not funny, I know, but still. Did something leave the studio that night? Why does that sound familiar? Where have I heard something like that before? Now that we've proven our witnesses a comedian of sorts, I'd like to return to our friend's attorney before continuing the testimony. Do you have any idea what, if anything, might have left the studio that night? Yeah, one thing, actually. I think one thing might have very well left the studio that night, actually. A certain something that is finished from the crime scene. But you mean something other than our witness? Of course. Don't tell me. Vera Miss Ham. Believe me, any comic relief verified is entirely unintentional. Then let's see what you have got for us, Mr. Justice. Well, this thing wasn't at the scene of the crime, so I can't show it to you, but I do have evidence that shows how it could have been taken from the scene. The letterbox. This is the only link between the studio and the outside world. A letterbox? What did Mr. Bushel just tell us? When he entered the studio on the night of the murder. The victim had just finished writing a letter. Yeah, I said that. Yeah, it was true. Furthermore, you wanted to tell us they put the letter in a right envelope and put it in the letterbox. Ah! But that very same letterbox was empty. In other words, that night the yellow envelope disappeared. Ah, yes, intriguing. So this envelope has disappeared from the scene of the crime. Of course, this changes nothing. Huh? He has a point, Mr. Justice. What we're trying to figure out here is how the poison got into Mr. Mistham. It's really important that the envelope his witness had disappeared. Well, if it did disappear, then something did leave the studio that night. That seems very important to me. Very well then, we will add this to his testimony. You got it. I still think this fails to change anything, Half-Forehead. I wouldn't be so sure. Letter disappeared from the scene of the crime that night. It's exactly the opening I've been looking for. Nothing could be more serious than an envelope disappearing from that studio, and you were hiding that fact from us. Yes, well, actually. I don't argue the possibility of a letter disappeared from that studio. But therefore, isn't there a much more serious question before us? Alright, how Mr. Mason was poisoned, I know. But Mr. Bushell's testimony has changed, which means the facts of the case have too. And what he's told us means something entirely different now. I'm starting to think. Let's keep thinking, Apollo. You're sure about that? To be really, really precise, as your mint candies. Yes, yes. Yeah, I can prove it. Proof is possible. It was nothing. You understand what we need, yeah? Proof, Half-Forehead, not possibilities. Of course, and Prosecutor Gavin, I hope you understand. I'm ready to give you that proof. Well, what did you say? I proof of the disappearing envelope. I stopped writing a letter, I did. Which was picked up by the mailman, I assume. Of course, which means the envelope had a stamp on it. A stamp? Ah. As we all know, stamps come with dried glue on the back. In order to use the glue, you have to wet it. By licking the stamp. No one worth talking actually licks stamps in this day and age. Even if you wanted to talk to him, you couldn't. He's dead, after all. Okay, so he licked the stamp, but wait. How does that explain the ash written on the rim of the coffee mug? He licked the back of a poisoned stamp. That poison would get on his tongue, yes? But what happened if he put the coffee mug to his mouth? The traces on the mug weren't the killer's doing. It was the other way around. What? The coffee mug didn't get poisoned, Mr. Mistham. Mr. M poisoned the coffee mug himself. Order, order, order. But that doesn't recall, if you would. Atropine is a slow-acting poison, yes? Poison entered his body when he put the stamp on the envelope. But his time wasn't up till the very moment he touched his lip into the cup of joe. Something like that, Mr. Bushell. Oh, his nose is picking up another scent. I believe I mentioned earlier. Well, that's the thing, see. If he put his letter in the envelope, he's sat there searching in his desk drawer for something. It's a stamp, a so-called postage stamp. End quote. But you know, I don't seem to remember him ever finding one. Maybe we just run out. Incidentally, we searched the desk drawer at the scene of the crime. There are no stamps. Not a single one. That does pose a problem. How do you prove that stamp was coated with poison? Actually, I'm glad no other stamps were found. Makes proving the stamp he used was poison possible. Good show, good show. You can't even prove there was a stamp at the scene in the first place. Well, let's hear what the defense has to say anyway. Where's your evidence to prove the existence of this poison stamp? This tiny frame. Well, that certainly is a cute little frame, and by little I mean really, really little. It was on the victim's desk, Your Honor. Quite empty, as you can see for yourself. I noticed that too during my inspection, so what? Apparently, you weren't as observant as you should have been. You see, when he saw this frame, he was missing something quite important. Missing something? Yes, a pale bluish stain on the inside of the frame. Atropine residue. What? What was I told about this? The frame was only 2 inches square. The base of the frame was even smaller. Maybe an inch wide at most. You weren't saying... Oh, but I am. Tell me, what fits into the small frame? A commemorative stamp, perhaps. Order, order, order. poison stamp was in this frame. Impossible. Prosecutor Gavin, why'd you put something like that on his desk? Don't tell me he had it up there so he commit suicide if the mood struck. You know, can I say something? I had a thought, see. What, Mr. Bushel? Please stop jittering around like that. Victim was a forger, right? There's a lot of money in that line of work. Forger's friends makes enemies too. End quote. The poison stamp might have been a murder weapon aimed at him. Oh, rich. That's rich. Leave the ridiculous flights of fancy to the Gavineer's song lyrics, please. Finally, something we agree on. The stamp was a murder weapon. Nonsense. Murder is a simple business. Who would go to such lengths? No one. Oh, I disagree. Come again? Recall, if you would, the victim's reclusive lifestyle. Joe Mason had hid from the world. He avoided meetings. His only contact with the outside world was the mail. The mail. Now, if you wanted to kill someone you couldn't meet, but you knew read letters, a stab would be the perfect weapon. Ridiculous. Where's your proof? I want proof. So it's evident that this poison was sent to him as a murder weapon. I don't have evidence, per se, but things are finally starting to come together. What is it, Apollo? Your fists are trembling. I think I know what happened. I can't believe it, but I can see it. I know how Mr. Missem was killed. Well, Phil said, Mr. Justice. A certain piece of evidence points to the truth, Your Honor. I can show you how someone attempted to kill Mr. Missem the stamp of death. It's in the letter. Isn't this envelope the one from 7 years ago? Think about the text of the letter again. There are 2 pages in the envelope. This is page 1. This is page 2. I want to draw your attention to one phrase in particular. Send the enclosed envelope with the enclosed stamp within 3 days. Enclosed stamp, Your Honor. Ah! In other words, if I have it straight. The stamp, poison, on the stamp, lick, lick, gasp, end quote. What if he had done exactly the letter it asked? He would sign the document, put in the envelope, and a stamp on it, right? Then he'll put it in his letterbox. 15 minutes wouldn't have elapsed between him fixing the stamp and mailing the letter. The clock started ticking, and when the letter came, and the time came, he drew his last breath. And the murder weapon would be taken away from the scene. Quite conveniently, that thanks to the postal system. There's a splendid imagination you have here, forehead. Let me confirm one thing with you, if I might. So this poison stamp was inside the envelope from 7 years ago. Ja? Is that what you have us believe, really? Well, it's a bit of a stretch, but there's a possibility. Yes, a very small possibility. How small, I wonder? Poison stamp in its envelope. A stamp that became the murder weapon. How do you tend to prove this seeming coincidence? Well, it was 7 years ago, and we don't even know who sent that letter. And your answer is silence, I see. Very well. I'll move to... It's not nice to pick on the Fraulein Xavier. What? Oh. Emma. What? That was confusing. Alright then. Never mind. Well, like my Christoph Gavin impression, did I sound like him? Don't quit your day job. Don't you have a crime scene to be looking after, Fraulein Detective? Someone had to come dig you out of all this mess you're making of this case. Mess? You know, none of this would happen if you just trusted in science a little more. You can find out if that stamp was in that envelope. Easy. Care to explain yourself, Fraulein Detective? Blame me all you want, but science is on my side. It's all in the residue, right? That's right. The poison detection spray. Please read the envelope at once. Read over on the authority of the court. Spray it. Hey, look, there it is. Well, would you look at that? No mistaking it. That's a fine residue. I don't believe it. A murder weapon from the past. Now 7 years later, it bears its fangs at last. That's really outrageous. Tell me why. Why did this murder take place 7 years ago? Well, there's one possibility. Maybe Mr. Smith figured it out. Figured what out? He realized that the person who sent this letter wanted to turn him dead. So he replaced his reply with a different stamp. And put his decisive evidence in a frame. Hi. You're still here. Can I make a statement here on the record? I, Spark Razortooth Bushel, claim the scoop as mine. Drew Misham killed in cold blood by sender of 7-year-old letter, end quote. No, maybe something more succinct. The star falls after a 7-year delay, end quote. Order. See no room for further argument here. Though I admit, this is all coming as quite a shock. I think the murder weapon reached his mouth after 7 years. Stamp is taken straight to the afterlife, end quote. I think the witness is a bad influence on our judge. I see no need for further debate on this matter. The sender of that letter 7 years ago could hardly have been our defendant. Apollo, I think we just won. Very well, this court finds the defendant... Hold on there, Judge. I agree with this objection. Is this the bright future of our legal system? Prosecutor Gavin. Ticket to the afterlife from 7 years ago. Tickets for Gavin year's shows are invalid after 2 weeks. But it doesn't make any sense either way. Blows my mind that so many people haven't noticed this. There's a fatal contradiction here for Head's claim. A contradiction? A poison snap was placed in his envelope 7 years ago, whereupon it was framed until now. That's the case. Why did you miss him have done what he did? Let me explain. He must have realized it was poisoned. Therein lies the rub. 7 years ago, the forger removed him and fit the trap and put the stamp in a frame. Do not debate this. But this begs the question. Why, 7 years later, did he use that stamp on the night of the murder? Surely you don't mean to suggest that Mr. Sam simply forgot. He put the murder weapon in a frame in his desk for 7 years and forgot. You expect us to believe that he sprang a trap on himself. I'll admit, this is a little quite shocking myself. It seemed highly unlikely that he would fall afoul of a trap. That he had been sitting on his desk for 7 years. Apollo, I don't think you're winning anymore. I'm going to see we're all back in the real world now. Welcome back to the reality. We've been waiting for you. Okay, then how do you explain the poison stamp that was in this envelope? Poison stamp? Where exactly is this poison stamped again? Have you brought it to the court for us? I see no proof that such a thing ever existed. What about the edge-fine residue, huh? Oh, I agree, that does seem to be edge-fine residue. But, half ahead, it's certainly no stamp. Yeah, but... even if your precious poison stamp did exist, you Miss Ham never would have used it. That is all. I believe we've come to a conclusion. Again. Apollo, we're wrong the whole time? I can't believe it. The poison traces match up. It can't be coincidence. I'd like to bring some disclosure to this issue sometime this year. Mr. Justice? Yes, Your Honor. Let's review the facts and see where we stand. 7 years ago, Drew Misham received a red envelope. There are traces of poison... the traces of the poison atroquin on the document inside that envelope. A similar trace was also found at this crime scene. On this tiny picture frame, the defense had indicated the possibility of a yellow envelope. The envelope left the scene of the crime with a poison stamp on it. Yes, but even this envelope contained a poison stamp, and Drew Misham, knowing this, put it in a frame. You would never have used that stamp. I'm afraid you're right. Which means there is a fatal flaw in the defense's case. I've been on the wrong track this whole time, I'm sure of it. Ways of atrophying, the envelope, the frame, Jim Misham's mysterious death. They're all connected somehow. Well, Mr. Justice, do you have a conclusion for us? The defense stands by its case, Your Honor. Seeing that logical outcome of the evidence makes no sense. Which means one of our clues must be a fake. Ah, a fake clue. Fascinating. We find this fake. Your water fancies will prove quite unreasonable. Yeah. Fake clue that's thrown us off by the poison trail is none other than... Interesting. The red envelope? This red envelope is a fake. Without a doubt, Your Honor.
Objection!
Wasn't it you who presented this evidence to the court? Oh. Hold on a second, Apollo. The poison in the envelope, the frame, and that coffee mug. They're all connected somehow. Oh, right. I can hear it already. Looks like the fake was you, Heffohead. No time for role-playing yourself, idiot. Let's get thinking, Apollo. The clue that thrown us off the poison shroud, none other than... the frame? This frame is the fake clue. Without a doubt, Your Honor.
Objection!
Wasn't it you who presented this? Yes. Yes, we did. Wasn't the envelope, the frame, the coffee... The victim himself? What? Okay, sure. If you say so. The victim was a fake clue. I'm afraid I don't understand. I'll explain. We have an envelope, a frame, and a mug linked by poison. That all makes sense. What doesn't make sense is the victim himself.
Objection!
Congratulations, you completely lost me. So the fake evidence none other than the master of fake himself, the forger. It's a good story, I'll give you that. The fake clue. Fakes. Forgeries. Ah. I know the face. That's the face I just had an idea face. I don't know if I'm right, but I'm going with it anyway. What if our forger is the fake? Come again. 7 years ago, our forger snipped the trap and stepped aside. 7 years passed. Now the forger stumbles into that very same trap and dies. Why? That's what I want to know. Because the forger who was killed was a fake. Here we are again. The victim was a fake. One forger smelled the trap, one forger fell into the trap. That's two forgers, and one of them was a fake. Order, order, order. So you're telling us that Trumis and the victim was a fake. Well, if he was the fake, who was the real forger? You better not be claiming there's some kind of switcheroo. I'm afraid you're going to have to back up your story. Justice, show us who the real Drumisem was. If Drumisem wasn't the real forger, there's only one other person it could have been. Understood, Your Honor. The forger Drumisem himself was a forgery. The real forger was... I mean, Vera, I guess? Only one explanation, really. The real identity of the forger known as Drew Misham is none other than his only daughter, Vera Misham. Order, order, order. Mr. Justice, this is going on a limb even for you. I kind of agree, I mean, Vera, a forger. Let's consider it for you right off entirely. Look at the paintings in the studio, and one fact becomes quite clear. Forgery had been taking place in that studio for quite some time. The forger wasn't caught in the trap 7 years ago. That can only mean the person who was caught in the trap wasn't the forger. Well, actually, that does make a certain kind of sense. One more thing. There are only 2 sets of fingerprints found in the forger's studio. Drew Misham's and Vera Misham's. We know that the Drew Misham wasn't the forger. That leaves only one possibility, by process of elimination. The forger was Vera Misham. Well... play your guitar some more. Fascinating. Hello, Vera. What do you gotta say to that? Vera Misham. You've been paying attention for the trial so far. Let's just ask her and be done with it, shall we? Who are you? Who's the forger Drew miss him? What? What are you looking at? Was that an expression of emotion I saw on her face? You're staring holes in Professor Gavin's face. I'm used to being stared at by Fräuleins, believe me. Well, they usually talk to me too. Tell us, were you the one who forges works of art? Oh, she's drawn. Yes. So the forger Drew Bisham was you? Yes, it was me. What? What? The court was in an uproar, and it wasn't coming down. We had to break for 10-minute recess. Well. Well. So, our defendant was/is a forger, not her dad, the guy who died. But she cinched the trap and put it in the little frame, and just didn't tell her dad about it. I'm not sure how that works exactly, but okay, whatever. But this has gone on long because I had a feeling it wasn't gonna go on for much longer, at least for a little bit. But it went on a bit, and it's fine. Whatever. Who cares? Anyway, next time we'll come back and see where this revelation takes us. So until then.